Hello and welcome back to the Coaches Show on KBPK. I am Ryan Osborne, and well, behind me is a empty football field. No, not the one that you're used to here on the Coaches Show with Garrett Campbell and his staff, but this is Greg Aviles. Futbol, the Fullerton College Hornets, off to a great start this season. We're going to talk to their team, get a little bit of a preview of Friday night, in addition to a recap of what happened against Norco. All this here on the Coaches Show. We're talking to the head coach of the Fullerton College Hornets, Greg Aviles. And Greg, take a look at this win over Norco. I mean, two very quick goals. How does that set the pace for the rest of the match?
Absolutely set the tempo early. It just shows that our guys were more prepared to play and our guys were ready to go. They've been putting a lot of work these last few days, so that just shows their intensity and their intentions coming into a game.
When you take a look at someone like Misael Gonzalez, who's able to set that up top for you, what does it do for the rest of your team knowing that you have a guy that's quality like that?
Oh, we have a true leader. We're leading by action. You know, he does everything every day. He puts in the work. He leads by example, and today was no different. And so putting him on the field is just another day putting in a body of work, but it's a contribute and a testament to what he does every day.
When you take a look at this matchup coming up on Friday night, of course, this is right after Norco, so you're not looking too far ahead. But when you look at the quality of opponents that you have on your schedule, how do you get your guys mentally prepared knowing that they've got top 10, top 15 opponents all the time?
Yeah, we already know the quality of our opposition and where we are, and it's about every day we feel like we're the top team, so we got to continue to get better and learn and grow every day, and everybody else is going to be a stepping stone and cause new problems, but it's one more step in our direction. So if every day we're learning and we're doing what we're supposed to do, we're going to know we're going to be fine.
You talk about learning. You have that NorCal trip. You were talking to me about it last year, something that you like to do to make sure your student athletes are ready. How do you pick those teams going into the season knowing that you want to face a style of opponent?
Yeah, I think we've been able to scout out a lot of different programs in the state and identify people who do things that are not only run good programs, but are also going to attract four-year schools because of their track records. So for a lot of us, it's the right programs, it's the right fit for us, and it's also those programs that have the same track record as us that are going to allow four-year schools to come in and see the game and give our kids opportunities.
You mentioned those opportunities. Can you speak for just a moment on how you and your staff try to impact these guys when they're looking to go forward to a four-year?
It's just doing what's expected. I mean, the whole process, we don't skip a step. I mean, these guys will tell you that every day from 6 a.m. that they're here working in study halls and weight room and team meetings, film breakdown. It's doing everything the same as it's going to be expected of them at the next level so that they understand and so that those coaches that come and see them understand that they've been doing everything that they've been doing and sometimes more, and they're going to be ready. We want to make sure that they're going to put a lot of pressure on schools to come and scout them and desire them to hopefully help them get an education.
Well, Coach, thank you very much. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We're talking with Misa right now. And Misa, when you take a look at just this last matchup, you just finished up against Norco. Sure, you're breathing hard. You had a long day. It's already hot out here. But when you take a look at an opponent like Norco, what gave you guys success in the early going today?
Just watching a lot of film on them. We had one of their films against Bakersfield. So we dissected it every single day, part by part. And once we got on the field, we just did what we learned from their mistakes against their other opponents. So that's where we killed them pretty much.
One thing that a lot of people hear about, especially here on the Coaches Show, are football guys who end up watching film, basketball guys who watch film, but not a lot of people realize there's a lot of film that goes into playing football like you guys do. Yeah. How do the coaches break down that film for you guys?
It's usually by the formation, their transitioning, and then by positioning. So since I'm a forward, I'd be looking at the defensive part of them and see how I can break them down and score goals.
When you mentioned that, knowing that you have the ability to distribute just as easily as you do score goals, looking a few moments ago, you had the opportunity to be able to lead your teammates into passes. How are you able to keep that vision while also creating for yourself?
Just practicing every day. Checking shoulders is like the big thing. So if I turn around, I see space, I'm driving at him or sending a through ball.
You hear you guys in the background, they're starting to tease you a little bit, but I mean, just look at the culture that you have here with Fullerton College football. When you take a look at the culture that you have established and also that your teammates have established and coaching staff have established, what makes Fullerton different?
Just the environment. we're really strong together, family, and just that bond connects us every game, everywhere we go.
Is that part of the reason why you chose Fullerton?
Yeah, definitely.
When you take a look at the upcoming opponents, obviously not getting too far, you take a look at Friday night, how do you make sure that you, as a student athlete, balance work, studies, family life, and football as well?
Well, usually since we're student athletes, we try to get everything done Monday or Tuesday so we can have the whole week to rest and prepare for the following opponents. We're always watching film, so like against this team we were watching film last week, but like this week already, we already started the film on our next opponent.
One thing that's interesting to me is that, a couple of years ago, even last year in your playoff matchup, you guys were playing on natural grass. Now you make the switch over to turf. I was noticing the ball rotating a little differently.
Yeah.
How does the turf differ to grass?
It's less bouncing, obviously, because it's all flat. I just say it rolls pretty faster than the grass, and then you don't expect as much bounces, so all the passes are clean.
Does it make it a lot more predictable for you in order to read things?
I'd say yeah, because usually when we're playing over there, you didn't know when you were going to get like a random bounce, like it would take you off your touch and stuff.
When you mentioned that, how are you able to build chemistry with your midfield knowing that you set that top line?
Every day we're practicing, connecting balls, like a lot of build-up plays, and just doing it over and over, we just get used to each other.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Misa. We appreciate you joining us. And once again, we'd like to thank Misael Gonzalez for joining us here on the Coaches Show this week. Now, before we get on out of here, we do want to update you on how things are going from football to football, as Fullerton College and the Hornets will be hosting Mount San Jacinto on Saturday. Let's get to the Southern Division, as across the Southern Division, the leaders, Riverside, number 2 in the state of California, looking to keep their winning ways going, and they did exactly that on Saturday. 45-6, a commanding win over top of El Camino, who was ranked in the top 10 at the time of playing Riverside. 45 points for Riverside, including 24 points midway through the second quarter. They got 21 coming out of halftime in the third, and plain and simple, they never looked back. They only allowed 2 field goals all afternoon, and they win it 45-6. When you take a look at some of the other teams in the Southern Division, Southern League for Fullerton, who are trying to stay towards the top half of the pack, Saddleback gets themselves a victory over top of Antelope Valley. Saddleback moves to 1-2. They got 17 points in the first half, 21 points in the second half, specifically just in the fourth quarter alone. 2 different touchdown passes, 1 17-yard run. They get a 38-21 win over top of Antelope Valley. That's going to be huge for Saddleback, because that's always a big-time opponent for Fullerton later on in the season. Now, common opponents is a big thing in the Southern Division. Canyons, of course, a couple weeks ago faces Fullerton College, and Fullerton gets an emphatic victory, something that the Hornets needed going into week 2. And they play a team this last Saturday that Fullerton will face in their blue-gold game coming up next month. They played Palomar, and Canyons actually got off to a good start, 17 points in the first half, 10 in the first quarter alone, and they would ride that to a victory. 17-7 over top of Palomar. Palomar gets on the board just entering the fourth quarter, but that would be it for the Palomar Comets. And Canyons with a 17-7 10-point win over top of Palomar. As Palomar moves to 1-2, Canyons gets their first victory of the season, and they go to 1-2 as well. To round out the Southern Division and the games that we are taking a look at just this last week, San Diego Mesa ends up dropping their matchup that they had this last Saturday. Remember, Fullerton will be playing them in just a couple of weeks, so not this Saturday, not next Saturday, but the one after, as Golden West gets a 28-7 win over top of the Olympians. A quick update on the rankings in the state of California, 1 through 6. You go with City College of San Mateo, 10 overall first place votes, nearly unanimous in that aspect, a 3-0 record. Riverside City slots in at number 2 with 1 first place vote. Mount Sac and City College of San Francisco do a little flip-flop, going from 3 to 4 and 4 to 3. With American River getting a nice bump from 7 up to 5, and finally pushing Fullerton out of the top 5 for the first time in quite some time. Fullerton sitting at number 6, but don't forget that this upcoming Saturday, there's going to be a matchup of top 5 opponents that Fullerton has to keep an eye on if they want to stay in the top 5 of the rankings. Once again, that will be San Mateo taking on American River. Either one of those two teams loses in a blowout and Fullerton gets a win, they will be right back in the top 5 in the state of California. So that's going to wrap it up. Let's go back to the field. And we'd like to thank Greg Aviles and his staff for allowing us to come out here and be able to film with the Fullerton College football team and their emphasis on family. So if you want to stay tuned with the Fullerton College Hornets and the men's soccer team, how they're doing and what the games are going to look like in the upcoming weeks, how about you look no further than KBPK? Football Fridays coming up here on KBPK. Almost every Friday night, we're going to have Fullerton College football here on KBPK. That will be live streamed on our YouTube page. You can take a look at our socials right here and keep up to date on how Fullerton College football is doing with the live stream of their matchup starting this Friday night against Cuyamaca. We want to thank Greg Aviles for joining us here on the Coaches Show. I'm Ryan Osborne, thanking you for joining us here on KBPK.